Yes, what's happening on AUDCAD? On the daily time frame, we can see that it appears we're on a bearish momentum as the trend line, red trend line, could visually represent connects the series of lower highs during the course of the last 5 weeks. And on the daily time frame, basically what we can see on the daily time frame is that we are on a downtrend as we can see. So with this being said, is there any opportunity to take advantage on this trade? If we look at it critically, it is advisable that we look for selling opportunities on this one unless structure states otherwise. So if we scroll down to a much lower time frame, let's say the 4 hours time frame, what do we see on the 4 hours time frame? So zooming in and looking at what structure is giving us, we can see the bearish trend line. As we can see, price continues to reject form lower highs at this point. As we can see, price continue to form lower highs. Not until we got to this area, and we never can tell if this is a false breakout or not. But one thing we can tell for sure is that price has been respecting this bearish trend line for some time, though we didn't have significant expansion until the middle of April, where we saw this expansion that moved price right to 0.9400 area, after which we started seeing higher lows, then a breakout of this area, which we don't know if it's going to be a false breakout or not. As we saw immediately after that breakout, we saw like three bearish engulfing candle that followed into back into 0.91 area. So with this being said, we need to identify a key level that will be our guide going forward into the new week. So the first thing first I did was okay to identify a key level that will be a determinant factor going forward. And when I spooled out my line chart, what I noticed was that price at this point in time, that's 0.918, became a level that I can reckon with. So if you allow me, let me label this scale level at 0.91, sorry, 0.918. So we give this a gold, go and place it right at the top. So good. So we have our level here. And why are we having a key level around this area? Remember, I used to say that a key level is always an area where price action at one point in time shares a confluence between the resistance and the support level, and at the same time, an area where we can see breakout or breakdown at one point in time in the past. So if we look at what is happening here, we can see that we had a breakdown of structure on the 24th of April around this area, which was later followed with rejection, giving us sign that sellers still want to push price further down. And we can see we had multiple rejection since the breakdown. We saw one here, we saw two, though this was not closed. We saw another three around this area. It still falls within the same area. We saw also we had one in the beginning of the month, which we can see looks more like a shooting star candle. On not until on the 4th of May, that's during last week trading session, we saw this breakout that happened, which we are not sure if it's a false one or a signal that price is going to the upside. So with this being said, after that breakout that happened, we saw price move immediately downwards with the engulfing candle, and it appears price want to do a retest of that key level, which also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line, and which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line that we identified here. That's bullish trend line here. We saw that we think will probably be a guide to price action for any bullish momentum that will want to happen at this point in the market. So we see that we have almost like three confluences around this area. That's the bearish trend line, the key level, and the bullish trend line. And I said we saw this impulse leg, we saw this breakout of structure, and we saw this impulse leg where price move all the way down to this place and doing something like a reversal pattern that that might probably same price go to the upside in the form of something like this, or probably do something like a rejection of this bullish trend line or this key level or this one here, after which we see structures that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So you can see how significant that key level is. We see that how significant the confluence is also. And that breakout, we don't know if this breakout is a confirmed breakout or a false one at this point. So whatever happens during the course of the week will now determine what we are going to do on this pair. Are we going to buy? Are we going to sell? Is this a reversal pattern? Is this a reversal pattern where we saw a breakout of structure? We still cannot confirm that. So let's see what happens, and what will happen if we are going to buy will definitely come in the form of a second breakout of that key level, a retest into that trend line, and we use that trend line to be our guide going for a bullish momentum. However, if it's going to be bearish, definitely we want to be seeing a rejection of this bullish trend line or this key level or this trend line at this point in time where we see structures that support a trend continuation to the downside. So it's pertinent that we remain conscious and watch price action and allow price action determine where we are going to go in the new week. However, it's important that I state here that I will always give an update in the comment section on my TradingView account at every point in time I notice or discover that there is a signal or confirmation for whatever bias that is evolving at that particular point in time. So at this point, I would like to pause the video here and let's see how price action reacts as when the market opens. Then we'll determine what we want to do on this pair. Good night.